late. I had a bit of a journey through the streets of Bangkok. Have you heard of Uber? It's a service that sort of has taxis that pick you up at a place. I actually had a taxi take me to a place where Uber found me because that way I could find my way here. But anyway, you've already watched the video, so you know what this is. You know why we hug these and why we put them on our heads. It's because in the World Scholars Club, no matter how serious the learning gets, we never take ourselves too seriously. And we never want you to take yourselves too seriously either. So, I come to you today with a quick mini invitation presentation. Has Gotham told you when the event will be in Thailand? I hope that you guys can join us there. Now, to make sure you do, I will very quickly try to do two more things. I will try to interest and intrigue you so that you want to come, and I will bribe you. And you know what I will bribe you with? This could be a very big fail. Who would like this alpaca? Okay, so first off, this is Gotham's alpaca. So, everyone thank Gotham. I promise everyone at the round will receive an alpaca. We used to give just one alpaca per team, but that didn't go well. It caused a lot of fights. And we're all about team spirit, so, you know, the Solomonic compromise of cutting an alpaca in pieces never goes well. Gotham, are you giving them any examples of what they might be learning? Not really. Alright, I'm going to give you two of my classic favorite examples from the World Scholars Cup, because I think they capture well the kind of decision making, the kind of thinking you have to do. And one of them is convenient because it involves this table. I want you to imagine that this is not a table at all. This is a bridge over Bangkok. It's not a particularly stable bridge, so I'll stop walking now. You are standing on this bridge, and this, by the way, is a classic scenario taught in philosophy classes all over the world. It's got many versions. I learned this version my first day at Harvard from a professor who, like me, jumped on the furniture. Unlike me, he wore robes and wrote a book called Justice. So, you're on this bridge on this beautiful, beautiful day in Bangkok. Off in the distance, you see that airport with the super long name, Subu. That one. It's also a super just long airport. And off in the other distance, you see the other airport, which I think is near here, named Don Juan or Don Juan. Thank you, guys. And over there, I see traffic. It's a beautiful day in Bangkok. Now, one of the things you'll be learning in this year's World Scholars Cup is heroes and superheroes. And you cannot study heroes and superheroes. And yes, I do mean superheroes like DC and Marvel, and also everyday heroes. You can't study them without also studying villains and supervillains. And on this day in Bangkok, some supervillain, some Moriarty, or Lex Luthor, or Darth Vader, has taken 4 children, imprisoned them, and tied them down to a train track in front of your bridge. And the train is coming, and it is making train noises. Train noises, please. I hear a bit of choo-choo-choo. Okay, choo-choo. Yeah, train is coming. Now the children know the train is coming, but they are stuck. And they are doing 2 things in this moment of urgency. Number 1 is they are screaming their lives out for help. You're good. Thank you. There's a talent show in the Scholars Cup. You saw some footage of it. And they are taking selfies. Hashtag bad day. Now, you want to save them. You have a heroic heart. But you are not a superhero. You are not the Flash. You cannot race down there in half a second. You are not Superman. You cannot fly through the air and lift the train. You can't throw some shield or hammer at it. No. There's only one way to save these children. And it doesn't feel terribly heroic. Standing next to you on the bridge is a very fat man. What? A very fat man. And you know for a fact from your studies of physics that if you push the fat man, give him one good jolt, He will fall off the bridge, land in front of the train. The train will hit him and safely stop. The man will be dead. But the children will be saved, and they will make happy noises. There we go, happy noises. So the question asked in introductory philosophy classes all over the world is a very simple one. And you can already see it coming. Would you push this one fat man off the bridge to save 4 children?
Yeah.
Let me see. So talk to your neighbor for a second. Ask your neighbor what they would do. Compare some notes. Don't push them. Meanwhile, I would jump off the bridge. All right, show of hands. Who would push the fat man off the bridge? What if there were 100 children? Would anyone else push him? 1,000 children you could save? What if the fat man were your father? Some of you would still push him, I see. Alright, so I think it's some volunteers. Someone who would push him, can you tell us why that would be an okay thing to do? Yes. In the corner, was that your hand up? I'm not sure, it might just be elbowing me. Alright, someone in the front had something to say. Yes. Let me come with the mic. You might have to come forward about 4 inches.
Because the kid hasn't lived their life and there are many of them.
Thank you. What's your name? Cindy, thank you very much. So Cindy brings up a classic school in philosophical ethics, which it's a whole big system of ideas. It's got fancy names like consequentialism or utilitarianism. It's all about adding up the pros, adding up the cons, the pluses and the minuses, and seeing which is the bigger stack. So maybe, as you said, it's lots of kids and just one man. Maybe the kids have long lives to lead in which they can serve the world or Thailand, and the fat man, maybe he's on the verge of a heart attack or he won't live as long. So you're making these kind of calculations. Those of you who raised your hand for 100 kids or 1,000 kids, but not for 4, at some level you're making that kind of calculation. Now some of you wouldn't push him no matter how many kids at the saving. Who would not push him? Wants to tell us why not? In the back, far right. Stage right. Yes. Stand and shout because I don't think I can pull this that far.
I wouldn't push him because it wasn't his fault. I suppose I would only push him if he wanted to push.
And you captured something really profound. What's your name?
Stephanie.
Stephanie. So Stephanie is bringing us this question that is posed in questions of ethics, which is called agency. Who's making the choice? The supervillain had the agency, had the choice. He actively put those children on the track. If you push the fat man, you are the agent who's causing him to die. People who worry about this feel better if, as you suggested, you instead poke the fat man and say, "Excuse me, there's a problem, do you mind jumping?" Because then he is the agent of his own decision. Others who don't want to push him worry not just about the agency, but maybe about rules of ethics they don't want to break. For instance, they might have been raised by their families or their schools or their churches or whatnot to know in their hearts that it is always wrong to tell a lie, or you should never kill a person, or you should never copy from Wikipedia when you're writing an essay. Whatever the rules are, that is the framework by which you live. So, in the World Scholars Club, we are actually not against fat people. We're for all weights, we're for all sizes, we're all about diversity, inclusiveness, but we're also, more importantly, for knowing the framework from which you're making a decision or arguing a case. And in the debates in the World Scholars Club, you need to be able to explain to your teammates and to the other team why you believe what you believe. Whether you are adding the pluses and minuses, whether it's an issue of agency, whether there are rules that are being broken. So keep those things in mind. Second quick example. In the World Scholars Cup, they're going to connect different fields. I often told you about some of them as I was coming in, science, history, and literature, etc. This one's really quick and involves a play that you might know. Have you heard of Romeo and Juliet?
Yes.
Excellent. It's a quick summary. It's this incredible play by Shakespeare. Parents love it because it's all about why you should not date as teenagers. It ends badly. So Romeo and Juliet, they meet at the party, they fall instantly in love. It's that deep, passionate love. It's incredible. It's like the beginning of Twilight, but without the vampires. They want to be together forever, but they can't because their families hate each other. They decide to be together anyway. They come up with this incredible plan. Juliet comes up with this plan by herself. It's the kind of plan only a teenager in love comes up with. She will take poison. It will make her appear to be dead for a few days. And at the end she'll wake up, everyone will think she's dead, Romeo will pick her up, and they'll go live happily ever after and never post on Facebook again. Plan doesn't work out because Romeo doesn't get the note for various reasons. Romeo thinks she's actually dead. He's a teenager in love. What does he do when he thinks she's dead? He kills himself. It's very sad. And then what does she do when she wakes up and finds out what he's done? She kills herself too. Sorry. I know this is a very dark presentation. Tragedy. Tale of woe. In your literature classes, you might study the poetry or the themes or the characters or Shakespeare's career or medieval Italy. There's so much to learn in this play. At the World Scholars Cup, though, we might have you connected to something else. We might have you debate with a team from Australia or Mexico or Singapore. How different would this story be if Romeo and Juliet had mobile phones? What if Juliet could have texted Romeo the plan? Hey, babe. Taking poison. BRB. In 3. XOXO. And maybe an inappropriate selfie to go with that. You guys are giggling a little bit because it would change the story completely. It would no longer be a tragedy, it would order on comedy. And there are a lot of stories that don't work with the liberating technologies we have now. You know the story of Hansel and Gretel? They leave breadcrumbs in the forest to find their way home? GPS. Right? So you might need to figure out how those stories work in the future. It's one of those things we'd love to see you get your heads around, and those conversations are at their richest when there were students from other backgrounds from all over the world. Third, very quick example. One of the topics you're going to explore in Scholars Cup this year is called semiotics. It's a fancy name for really the study of signs and symbols and what they mean in different cultures at different times or across the world.